Yes, and I'm following the restraining order by having a gap between us. So.
Yeah. The doctor is in.
Hello? What's up?
Where are my Overwatch
How
folks?
are you guys?
These microphones are only kind of working, so I will yell real loud to project. But it's nice to meet you guys. So let's start off real quick. Do you even play Overwatch on a regular basis?
Oh my God, he's calling us out. On a regular basis, no, but I have played.
Yes, that's what I kind of figured.
I'm a Mercy main. I have played as well. I don't have a PS4 or a PC, nor did I think I want to go down that deep hole, but it's coming out on Switch,
Yeah.
so I might have to go down the deep hole.
Are you guys excited about that?
I am.
And I want you guys to know that I'm only going to talk to them for 5 to 10 minutes, and then there's a microphone in the main lane here. If you want to ask them questions, and I have historically been the laziest moderator at Salt Lake, I leave it up to you guys to ask the really cool questions. I just get things started. So don't be afraid to start lining up. In about 5-10 minutes, I will unleash you on them. But let's talk about voice acting to begin with. Because I know that you were hired because of your lovely accent.
I think part of the reason was because I speak German.
Wunderbar.
Ja, wunderbar, sehr, sehr wunderbar. Fahrvergnügen.
I only know the swear words.
Bratwurst. Yeah, so that was part of the reason why they hired me. I think there was some other stuff why they hired me.
Well, I know that, but that's the cherry on top of the sundae.
It is. It's the German chocolate cake cherry on top of the sundae.
So how did the audition process happen? Is it one of those things where, because I think a lot of people would love to be in voice acting, but I don't think they understand how actually difficult it is. I think they think, oh, I just walk in, I say a couple things, I go home, I don't have to wear, I can put on pajamas.
That's exactly what we do.
It's actually a lot more involved than that.
Yeah, well, it's called voice acting, so, there's acting involved, and you do have to kind of spend some time learning about that if that's what you want to do. But the audition process itself, for me, I got an audition that I recorded at home at first. I got under a big blanket because I didn't have a studio set up or anything like that, and that kind of soundproofs you. Got under a big blanket, recorded some of the lines, sent it to my agent, who then sent it to Blizzard, and then they did something which is called a callback. So you get like a second round of auditions, and then I went in and actually auditioned with Andrea Toyas and Michael Chu, who's the head writer on Overwatch, and we worked on the character a bit, and then I got the part, yeah. I don't know, what was your audition process?
Jeff Kaplan's my uncle, so he just gave it to me. It was just really easy. No, it's very similar. I think we as actors go through maybe hundreds of auditions that we'll never hear anything about. You just do a voice, you do your best, and you send it away to never hear anything. You just kind of have to get used to that kind of life. You're doing your best, and whatever voice that you presented might not be the right one. But for this particular one, I remember getting the audition, and it had like, it's a side. They call it sides. It's basically a character description, sometimes a picture of the character, and maybe 5 to 10 lines that the character would say. So you have to take that, you have to look at it, you have to kind of feel like, well, what is the vibe of this person? What is the vibe going on here with this, the sides? And then make choices on it. You have to make some strong choices on what you're getting, how to emotionally feel about each line that you're saying. Why are you saying the lines here? And you have to sometimes just make that up. And so with Lucio, it was a picture of a real picture of like a 16-year-old Latino boy with like a hat and like a skateboard, and I was like, okay, cool. But it also didn't say he was Brazilian or anything, but the description was like, he's kind of your older brother type who's cool and encouraging and friendly, and people want to be around him. And I was like, that's me. And I just remember being like, well, how would I, in these situations, if I was encouraging my team, what would I do? How would I be? Like, what essence of me is that, and what can I combine with like an energetic, excited person? It also did not say he was on rollerblades, by the way. So
Johnny's on rollerblades.
but I wasn't on rollerblades at the time when I did the audition. So yeah, I just I gave my own interpretation and sent it away. It was like maybe 2 to 3 months later, I got an email from my agent saying, Blizzard loves your audition for Overwatch. They want you to be Lucio. And I was like, wait, what? It's because you're like, wait, what project was that? I've had 1,300 since then. But also, it was under a code name, so they also didn't let us know that it was Overwatch. So it was kind of a surprise to me when I got the role that it was for Blizzard and it'd be for Overwatch, their new IP, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So yeah, that was kind of the process for me.
So once you get it, and then you know you're going to be doing it before you actually go in to record, how much, like you said, you worked a little bit with Michael on the character, how much, once you're officially got the job, how much do you work on the character after that?
We spent about 5 minutes, because I was so good. No, we spent a good amount of time just getting the tone right and getting the accent, like intensity of the accent right. In the beginning, I did a much stronger accent, and we decided to kind of tone it down a little bit.
You were kind of yelling support.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, heroes never die! And they were like, no, we don't think that's the right way to go. But yeah, so we did spend, it's always important to do that, because then once you have that character down and everybody agrees on what it should be, then you can just really go, and you don't have to go back and talk about, what people's interpretations of the character is anymore, because you've already covered that, and then you can kind of find the more nuanced kind of levels to the character. So I think we spent about 2 hours of the first session just focused on getting the character right, getting the tone right. My natural voice is a bit deeper than her voice, so we kind of worked on that, and we had a lot of fun with it too. It's cool because there's no right or wrong answer in a way. Of course, the writer and the creators have like something in their head that they've kind of pictured or wanted, but I think every time a person is hired or brought on, they bring something so unique to the character that it surprises the creators as well, and then they kind of open their minds and go, oh, okay, maybe this is a direction we didn't think of, but this is cool. So we had a lot of fun just playing around with it, and yeah, then we found it and we just went for it after that. But actually, every time we go in to record, they'll play like a voice reference for us, just so we can hear it back and really get back into it.
Yeah,
even though we've been doing it for so long.
We also might take a couple months off.
Yeah.
And then come back to for tweaks. They've changed something.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go in and you're like, hi, I'm Mercy. And you're like, oh, that doesn't sound right.
So what did you think you brought that the writers or the creators didn't expect?
What do I think I brought?
Yeah, you just said that every actor brings something. So what do you think you brought to Mercy, and what do you think you brought to Lisa?
I think that, well, first of all, inherently, I think every person brings something that's unique to whatever they do, obviously, because everybody is unique. And I think that's really important in terms of advice for voice acting, A lot of people will go for character voices, and I think like 99.9% of voice actors working will tell you most of the parts that they book, especially in the beginning, are actually like real close to their natural voices, because that's like actually the most unique thing you have. A lot of people can talk like this, but nobody has this voice, or your voice, or your voice. So that's one thing that's inherent. I think in terms of Mercy, it was a little bit of the sass, like the saltiness, which we started to explore more of. I think the like empathetic part of her and like the nurturing, motherly kind of warm aspect, they were pretty clear that they wanted that, but I think that Yeah, I brought a little more sass than they maybe expected.
You think that's your stand-up background?
I think that's my New York background.
Oh, there you go. And we're all set then. We'll move on to Jonny. Jonny, what could possibly you bring to this event?
What did I...
Perfection.
My good looks.
You gotta say it and you have to say it in
It's a
New York
great
accent.
face for radio, guys.
You're gonna be a star with that one.
I think they saw a lot of different people for Lúcio, and a lot of people who were from Brazil and had accents and different things. But I asked them, I was like, why did I get this role? What was it about my voice that, you know, I was chosen for this? And Michael was like, when we all heard your voice, it was the energy in your voice that we were like, that's Lúcio, that essence, that, what I would say I brought is like, there's always like a smile in my stomach. You know what I mean? There's like this little like, going on in the voice. Like there's an excitement, there's a joy happening that, you know, I found like through when I'm laughing or something, there's like, that's how I sound. Or like, like when I'm hiding in a closet to scare my friends, I probably make this noise like, and I bring a lot of that into like, you can hear some of that playfulness in Lúcio. So
That's even a little
Also,
creepier.
when I'm hiding in a closet to scare my friends, it's just a normal thing that Jonny does on a Saturday.
yes!
But I think that's even
It's
creepier
the
to hear that.
mischief, you know? It's
background?
It's the anticipation of fun, you know, or messing with somebody's mind. yeah. So yeah.
So now you get the job. You work on the character, and now we start recording. And how often do you go in, and how often do you have to keep tweaking? How often do they keep changing things? Because just like a movie, that's basically what a video game is, an interactive movie. It's got a full-on screenplay, and it's got a whole bunch of, except the difference is you're saying 15,000 variations.
Yeah.
So what's a recording session like at the beginning, middle, and end? Are there different ones? Are you doing kind of the same thing? Or is there just one session where you're grunting the whole time? Because you have to have those in too.
Yeah, those are my favorites. No,
Has anybody heard Lúcio on fire? When people keep coming up to me saying like, oh my god, your Lúcio on fire is amazing, I'm like, what? And then I have to like flash back to me in the booth, them saying, okay, you're on fire, and I'm like, oh. You know, like, really? And they say, oh, and some of the other people are like, ooh, hot, hot. I'm like, no, you said I was on fire. No, it's hot.
yeah, those are the best. The first session I did where they're called like efforts and exertions, the death noises, and you get like a separate director that'll come and work with you on those, and that's
A special director just like
it's a special director for dying. And he'll be like, okay, so for this next one, you're falling off a cliff while you're in a deep freeze, and then you're crushed by a heavy object. And you're like, I went to acting school, I'm not sure we covered this bit. And he'll be like, okay, I'll do it for you. So it's like, falling off the cliff, ooh, deep freeze, to cut off the sound because you're being crushed. And then you'll do it and they'll be like, okay, we'll keep the falling off the cliff, a little more teeth chattery on the freeze and a little less gravelly on the crush. You're like, okay. But you get to do that for like hours. And then you walk out and you're like, great, I just died for 2 hours and I got paid for it. Oh my God. So it's like, yeah, so it's great. I love doing the death noises. It's really great stuff. Love that one.
What's the weirdest noise you've had to make? You don't have to do it, you can just tell me what it was. I don't want to.
No, she'll do it.
I don't know, I was talking to her. I'm talking to you, Jonny. What's the weirdest you say?
Like, some of them are just like, I mean, I think my first experience was very much like, I did Prototype 2, and the direction was, okay, your head is being ripped off by an alien, and your spine is dangling, and then you die.
Yeah. You're like,
What the hell is that sound like?
Well,
but the good thing
But it was
is
like,
they-
they're like, perfect, and I was like, I'm good at doing it.
and of course you have to get the one executive who goes in and goes, well, that's sounded like your head was taken off by a human. Can you make it sound like it was taken off by an alien?
You got it. Oh, Did you see the surprise? It was an alien. Nuance.
Lucy, what's the weirdest thing they make you have to do? Or
Oh my God.
it can be just a line. It could be something like a weird situation they put you in.
Weirdest thing? I don't know. I think I did a few voices on Red Dead Redemption 2, and I was French, and I had this like headgear on my head,
It's
the
a
camera.
yeah. And it's a light shining in your face, and so that it captures
Motion capture.
Yeah, your face.
Yeah, and then you have to like, you know,
Read through the light.
see through the light and get killed and punched in the face. And yeah, I think that was one of the weirdest experiences.
And I want to thank you for taking 200 plus hours of my life away from that game. I love that game, but it's very long.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I'm not sure I did everything morally right. So, this is the time, if you have any questions, like I said, I have plenty for them, so don't feel like you're helping me out. But I am lazy, and I see this gentleman step. Come on up, run right up forward. Come on, our first victim. Feel free to line up right behind him, very quietly and orderly.
Ask away.
Yes, I said victim.
Okay.
Because you are going to get your head ripped off by an alien, possibly. We don't know, it could happen.
Everybody who walks to the mic, give me your best head ripping off the sound.
I'll take my chances on it.
Get a little closer to that mic.
And don't be afraid to lift it up over there. You go.
Sorry, I'm very tall.
It's rule number one of getting the mic in the right position.
Yeah.
So, I actually was talking with Lucy earlier today about it, but I was kind of wanting to get into voice acting myself, and there are a few things that I've been doing, like I've been auditioning for a lot of things and everything, but trying to word it properly, hold on. Okay, so, the biggest question that I do have about it is, where do you go to audition? Like, what places have you gone to in the past to make these auditions?
I think he wants to know where to start.
You mean to record the auditions?
Or kind of like, maybe there's like a website
Or
that...
to get auditions?
Yes.
Okay. So I know that if you don't have an agent who's looking for auditions for you, there's a website called Actors Access that has auditions on it. There's Voice 123 that has voice acting auditions on it. Then there's something called Voice Rabbit or something like that. Maybe I'm making it up.
Is Backstage still existing out there?
Backstage exists, yeah. That's online now. Yeah, so those are some great websites. And then I think like you can find auditions on Craigslist sometimes too, especially if you're not union, which I'm guessing at this point you're not yet.
No.
So it's always difficult because if you're not union, you can't really audition for the union stuff. And so yeah, starting out with those websites is really great. D. Bradley Baker has a great website, and I think it's soyouwannabeavoiceactor.com. Is that right? Do you know?
No.
And it gives you a lot of like, you know, pointers and advice, and there's a lot of links on there that you can follow. But yeah, so those are some great websites that you can start with.
All right, that does lead to a follow-up one. It was about agents. How did you get your agent, if you don't mind my asking?
So I've been an actor for a really long time, and I just, you know, the first agent I had, I got out of acting school, and then you just kind of build a community, so you have some friends, and you know, if you want to change agents or you don't have one and you're looking for a new agent, you either ask your friends who are in the business, or you can also, you know, send your material in, email, try to call and see if they're looking for anybody. Yeah, that's sort of it. There's no real recipe on how to get an agent. I think that's the whole thing with this industry and this job in general. There's no one path. Everybody has their own path. And so it's really hard to say, oh, you have to do this. I think one thing that you have to do is train and learn and try to, you know, get to know your voice if that's what you want to be working with. And but in terms of getting the agents and getting to work with the right people, you just have to trust that it'll take some time, but that if you just kind of keep looking for it, it's like with anything in life, you know, if you're kind of looking for something, the path opens up after a while. So I can't really give you real advice on how to get an agent. I just think, you know, putting together a demo reel helps with voice acting, then you can send that out. People can hear what you sound like. Yeah, those are sort of the pointers that I would give you.
Yeah, I think it's just basically when you make the decision to actually do it, it's a moment to say, I'm going to do this. And as you make that decision, things open up. Like opportunities that you probably wouldn't have taken before, or classes you wouldn't have taken before. Now you're like, if I'm going to do this, I should take this class, or I should reach out to this person because it's in that realm. A lot of us stay in a place of like, oh, that'd be cool to do. That'd be, I wish I could do that. But when you actually make a choice and say, I'm going to do this no matter what, then you immerse yourself in the right places, in the right communities, right? Like you take an acting class, and in that acting class you meet a friend who's got an agent, and he's like, man, what you do is really good work, And it's like, I'm going to this agent meeting thing, you want to come with? Like, these things have happened to me, right? It's like, once you get in the community and immerse yourself in actually making the choice to do it, it'll open up for you. That's it.
Yes, and go for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, good luck.
I think that's the one thing people forget is you've got to be able to act before you do it. Because again, I think a lot of people think, well, I'll just make a goofy voice. And we forget that these people have been acting for years and they know how to use the tool.
Well, and at the same time, like I said, there is no path. You might, you could also get very lucky and you do one goofy voice and then you're Mickey Mouse. I don't know, you know what I mean? And you get lucky, but you can't really bank on that. And I think that if you want to be in it for the long run, then you have to love the process and the work itself more than anything else,
I think you guys had good advice for him. Good job. Next.
Hi, I was just curious. Out of all the voice lines you've done in Overwatch, do you guys have a favorite?
It changes for me every day.
Mood.
Today I like, sometimes I'm not sure why I even bother.
I'm usually a can't stop, won't stop kind of guy.
I appreciate you lifting the mask before asking the question, too. That was very nice of you.
Hi.
Hi, my question is, if you could voice any other character in Overwatch, who would you voice and, why?
Yeah.
I would do that silky, smooth, buttery, delicious voice of Matt Mercer. So silky, so smooth.
I would do Widowmaker because I could eat croissants all day.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I guess I had a question. What was the emotion you find the hardest to convey in a voice booth? Was it happiness, depression, anger? What do you think would be the hardest thing to convey?
Hardest?
The thing you're least in touch with, I think for me,
Humility.
I think it's like I've had to do some stuff where there was some. I did Hitman, and in that video game, I had to go from like cool, calm to collected, like rock star to angry, out of my mind, insane, screaming to hysterically crying on a phone to my dad, who I hate, right? To help me, and that part was difficult, right? Like to get to that place of like that emotion, like there's so many things happening there, right? To convey that truthfully was like, how am I going to do this, right? And I think that to me was a very, because there's multiple emotions happening there. Like I don't like my father, I made a mistake and accidentally almost may or may not have killed my girlfriend, right? And so I need to ask him for help, but I'm also hysterically crying because my girlfriend is dead, right? That's a lot to do, right? And to convey that was like, all right, how do I get in touch with that and make that sound truthful? And so I did it. You guys can play the game. But yeah, there's multiple pieces. So to say it's just that deep level of whatever I think you don't do a lot, finding the truth in it for yourself. So.
Yeah, for me, when it comes to mercy, because I have a certain understanding of her. When they asked me to do some of the voice lines that went into the new short, it was difficult because she was a little bit tougher than usually and a little bit less warm. And so that took us a while because I had trouble finding that in her, you know. I could find it in myself, but I couldn't really make it work for her, for myself. So that was like, it's like meta, it's weird, you know, you're like, because you're you, but you're a character, and so you have to find it in yourself, but then you also have to kind of make it work for that character. So I think, yeah, it's hard to say one emotion is hard to convey in the booth, but I think, you know, in general, because in the booth you only have your voice, it is sometimes when, especially when you have the more nuanced stuff, you really have to dig deep to find ways to express it without your face, without your body, you know, and just kind of do it through one instrument. So yeah, it can be challenging, but I think we always love the challenge, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, brother.
Hi. Question for you about the process. You noted that you each brought your individual parts to it, and that you started one place, ended the next. What helped you stay flexible with your idea of what it was to the final product that we all experienced? To, you know, like adjust and to, in like a physical sense, what helped you stay mobile in that sense, but also with your idea of the character, the creative process, and all of that.
For me, it's definitely the like really deep trust I have in the creative team. To know that you're working with people that are so amazing is for any actor in any medium, stage, screen, TV, voice acting. If you know you can trust the people that you're working with, then you feel really free, and I think you let go of expectations and you go, okay, I'm just gonna give myself over and trust that they'll tell me if this is not the right direction to go into. So that's one way. And then vocally, also the same thing. They really take care of you if they know that you're doing a session where it's vocally stressful stuff. They'll make sure it's not that long, and they'll always explain to you what's going on. Because a lot of times we record lines and we don't really know where they fit in exactly, and they're so great at explaining what's going on, the emotional background, what is happening around you. So I think it comes down to the creative team. They really take care of us, and they understand what we sort of need as actors to make it work for ourselves and then for them as well.
Yeah, I think we're there to help their vision, right? And so to be invested and not egoless, basically, is part of it. Is like, I'd say this line this way. Like, you'll hear some takes as they'll play them back. In my brain, I was like, ooh, take A. But they'll be like, we're gonna do B. And I'm like, oh, really? B? Okay. And in the end, you see it in game, and you're like, got it. Yeah, I see why they did that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know if you know or if you can say, but will we ever see Lucio in a short?
Guys, FanX has a premiere of the Lucio short. Is it queued up?
Hit it!
No, because it's not real? Anyway, so... No big deal. But I know they're saving the best for last.
There's gonna be a whole Lucio movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, hopefully we'll see. I know down the line we got some fun stuff coming. Whatever Blizzard is doing, I'm excited to see what they come up with coming up. So that's all I have. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again.
Hello.
So is it weird to see your voice in another body when the professionals are playing or other streamers or people walking around?
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's versions of our voice. I mean, Lucio's actually very close to, I think, me in some ways. So when I first saw gameplay of Lucio, I think my immediate response was like I was watching him rollerblade around and shoot stuff, and there was my voice. And I think my first response was like, oh, that's not good. Nobody's gonna believe that's him. Oh no. That was my first response. And I was like, relax, man, just give it another listen. Let's just chill out, remove yourself from the equation. And then I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. But it's a little disconcerting sometimes.
Hi.
Hi.
So, hoping for that Lucio short because he's best boy.
He's best boy.
So, did you guys expect Overwatch to blow up as much as it did? It became like a pretty popular game. Were you expecting that much like follow back behind it?
No, not me. I did not expect it at all. I remember Andrea Toys, who directs most of the sessions, said, oh, you know, this is going to be huge, right? And as actors, you're kind of used to people saying that and being like, this is going to be huge, you're going to be huge. And you kind of go, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, you know? And that's kind of how I walked out of that session. I was like, that was fun, but I'll believe it when I see it. And then I was in a cafe in New York like 6 months later, and the waiter came up to me and he was like, I'm so sorry, this is a bit unprofessional, but... And in my head I was like, oh, this guy's gonna tell me I can't be sitting here because I'm not eating anything? You know what? F that guy. I've been at tables for so long. He can't tell me I can't be sitting here. And I was about to like go off on him, and I started listening to him, and he was like, I'm a huge fan of your work on Overwatch. I was like, oh my God, I was about to curse you out. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, it's like getting really big. So no, I think it's a good thing though that we didn't expect it, because I definitely would have psyched myself out had I known that it would be this big. I think even just in the audition, I would have been like, oh, you know, it would have psyched me out for sure. So I'm glad I didn't know.
Yeah, I had no clue. Even while I was getting big, I still was like, what? But I think my first inclination was after I got Lucio, I went to my friend Charlie, and I said, hey man, because he plays WoW and a bunch of stuff like that for many years. So I was like, yeah, I'm in Blizzard's new thing, Overwatch. And I just remember he was doing something, he goes, what? I'm like, chill out, dude. He's like, dude, this is gonna be big, man. And I'm like, stop screaming. But I was like, for real? Like, for real though? And, but in some ways, like she says, you don't expect anything, but that started to happen while I was out with friends. So a friend would be like, hey, this is Lucio from Overwatch, and then it'd be like, yeah, for real? You know, like, and this started to happen like all the time, and I was like, what is going on? And then when I did that video at BlizzCon, that's when it really showed me how big it really was, because the video I did with the other voice actors was like hundreds of millions of views, and people were like now stopping me on the street. And I was like, this is from a video game. You know me from a video game, and you like me? That was like insane, and it still is. Like every week, it's somebody comes up, and I'm so appreciative, but I never ever would have thought that this, you know, my career would have taken me here. You know, you never know, but I'm always open, right?
Yeah.
We're open to just performing and giving something back, and you guys appreciating it. What a gift. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is crazy.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I have a follow-up to that. How crazy is it that it's not just the video games? I can understand video games blowing up. But now that you've got sports leagues playing this game, was that something that was in the mix that you guys knew about beforehand? Or is it after the fact you just realized there's people making money playing you?
So much more than us. It's not fair.
It's crazy, man. But I understand it.
It was funny, Gaku and I went to the Blizzard Arena in LA, and we got there, and we were like, hey, we're gonna go say hi to the players. And then they took us down, I think it was New York Excelsior, I don't remember what the teams were, and they took us down to meet them, and they opened the door, and we were like, hi guys. And they all just literally turned around, looked at us, and looked back at their screen, and did not care at all. And then the manager was like, do you guys want a picture with them? We were like, what? So yeah, that's crazy. crazy. Yeah, the final last year at the Barclays Center, I couldn't go, but Jen Cohn, Farah went, and she sent me videos, and she said it was just one of the craziest things she's ever experienced. Like, what was it, 25,000 people? Yeah, insane.
And BlizzCon's nothing to sneeze at either.
No, although I have sneezed at it, and it was awkward.
Kind of into that, you guys have no doubt had a lot of experiences with fans, not just here at FanX, but elsewhere. So, do either of you have a favorite, most memorable, or weirdest fan encounter story?
One of my favorites was in Vegas, and a family came up to my table with a tiny little baby. And they were like, "Hi, will you sign his onesie?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I thought they would take out a onesie and put it on my table, and then they just laid the baby on it. And I was like, what? I signed the baby. Johnny, it's mine now, exactly. Johnny was actually at a table next to me, and the guy who was handling me, I was like, "Oh my God, did you take pictures?" And he was like, "No, I thought that'd be rude." And then I was like, "Johnny, did you see what just happened?" Johnny was like, "No, what just happened?" I was like, "Oh my God, nobody's gonna believe me. I just signed a baby." But it makes sense that would happen in Vegas, right?
Let the baby pull the sacrifice.
Yeah.
I think I was in Florida SuperCon, and I was shining, and there was a line, and a few people up there was a girl in like a really tight corset, and she was waiting to come up. I didn't really notice at the time, but I was just signing, and then all of a sudden I hear, and then you look up, and then the girl has fainted in line, and I'm like, oh. And I go over to her and I'm like, "Oh my God, is she okay?" And I'm like hovering over her, and then I'm looking at her as she like kind of comes to, and there I am like. and then she seemed okay, so I was like, "Time to heal up."
So, aside from Overwatch a little, you both have a lot of experience, be it as actors, voice actors, producers, comedians. What's been the most natural way for you guys to express yourselves?
Screaming.
Yeah. Silly.
No, like I think my biggest thing, we just do bits.
Yeah.
Like constant.
We never have a real conversation.
Never. No, it's mostly like just character voices.
It's being silly, I think. Just being silly and finding humor in pretty much everything.
Right.
We are very similar when it comes to that.
Chasing a laugh. You'll always find me like trying to laugh or make someone laugh or find the funny in something.
Yeah.
And that's how I usually am expressing myself, is finding like these little bits of joy. I think we need it. I think that's what is my drug of choice. Is like if I can get a laugh or someone to laugh, or that's what I enjoy. So that's kind of, I think, my if I could do anything, it'd probably be something where it's comedic based, and because I think we all need it. We all need it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I always feel at home on stage. I always love being on stage. I always love being in a room with people and like having that live experience, because it is kind of like, it turns into this kind of unique energy. This will never happen again. We're here now, and we've done tons of panels, obviously, but we've never done this panel with you guys, You all bring an energy to the room, and we feed off of that. So I think I could never live without doing like live performance and being with people in a room. I think that's something that is so unique, so special, and so rewarding and fun. Like hearing you guys laugh and respond to stories we're telling is so awesome. I need it! You guys have fun! Great. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So have you guys grouped up with other of your coworkers that were also voice actors for Overwatch, and have you had a funny story with them?
Yeah.
All the time. Hanging out with Lucie is nuts. I mean, we all hang out all the time, which is odd because we don't record together, right? And we've mostly met each other. I mostly met a lot of them at BlizzCon in the beginning, and then at different conventions, you get to know one another, and I love this cast because they're all like unique and fun in their own way, and have their own quirks, and are super sweet and loving in their own way, and we hang out, we go to Theo's, and Yana has a pool party almost every week. We're all like there, having a good time. He makes the best burgers. Like, it's a great fam.
Yeah, it's an amazing family for sure. I always like remembering when I first met Jen Cohn and Anjali, Symmetra and Farah. We were in New York, and we were sitting at a table outside in this restaurant, and we're really excited. We're like, oh my God, like really over the top. And then this guy walks by wearing an Overwatch shirt. We all went, oh my God! And he like ran away.
Rabid women just screaming.
We were like, wait, he didn't know who we were. But yeah, I love that story. We always just fantasized about how he would get home later and realize that it was us and he had made a terrible mistake by running away. But no, we have such a good time, and we try to make little videos for you guys all the time to post and stuff, and to document how much fun we have. But it's a real bonding experience because of you guys, really, because of how big the game has gotten. It's really bonded the cast together because it's hard to explain to other people what this experience has been like, traveling all over the world. And we see each other at least, like we met in Kuwait we met in New York. But the second time we saw each other was in Kuwait.
Yeah.
So random,
Yeah.
So we go to these places and we experience these amazing sort of things together that are inexplicable to other people. Yeah.
I have a vlog out on my Facebook. Watch it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've tried. I've tried to show you guys what it is, but it's mostly me like, love it.
Yeah.
Did it ever throw you when the first time someone recognized you as your voice actor? Because I mean, if we'd seen you do stand-up or I'd seen you in something, oh, I know what you look like. But when you're doing a voice actor, that means they liked what you did so much that they then went online to see what you look like, and they know it so well that they can see you in the real world.
It's always weird when they're outside of your window.
Well, I told you.
Sorry, Lucie, sorry.
The restraining order is still in effect.
It is, yeah, you're right. Yes, I thought I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know, and I think that it's not actually a thing. I think it's very unique to this game too. The Overwatch fans in particular have embraced us like no other.
Yeah.
Redemption. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys tell us.
It was definitely, and I think, I don't know if you feel this way, but I always get reminded of it when you talk to people that don't know anything about this world, and then they always go, wait, but you just do the voice, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but, and they're like, wait, but do you look like the character? And you're like, no, I don't. They're like, so you just do the, and you're like, yes, I just do the voice, but, yeah, yeah, so no, it's definitely a weird thing. I didn't know that was possible.
I mean, I think it's a new thing with social media and video games because I think, that video I sent out, I remember the following Friday, I released it on Tuesday, the following Friday I was at like a music festival. And I remember the first person I was working the music festival, doing like production stuff, and somebody came up to me and was like, oh my God, you're Lucio. And I was like, yeah. And then they're like, can we get a photo? And then like my coworkers were like, duh. Then, 10 minutes later, somebody else comes up and is like, hey, you're Lucio. And I'm like, yeah.
and then he started walking around just going, I'm Lucio!
Exactly.
Who I am, I'm Lucio.
Then it just started happening like crazy. I was like, wow. But it was like that combination of the game, Overwatch had tweeted it, the social media was happening, so it had been spreading. And so then, from then on, it was just very consistent, and it blew my mind. Still does.
One of my favorite things was when we did New York Comic Con together, or Anime in New York, and I went to the bathroom, and as I was walking back to my table, someone went, oh my God, it's Lucie Pohl!
That's the name of your love child.
We said we didn't want to talk about the love. Oh my god.
No, I was told not to talk about his son.
Not to talk about.
It's out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're down to. I'm gonna get the last two.
Well, let's just question.
Yeah, if you can go real fast, we can. Real fast. You got 2 minutes. Go.
Oh, no, they all left anyway.
Try to be quick.
Do that.
So I guess it's cool that I get to talk to you just right now because.
Well, no, you're ask a question. I have no time for a talk.
Okay. Is there somebody that you fangirl over when you see like celebrity and?
I do fangirl over. No, is there anybody you fangirl over? Well, growing up, I was very much a serious like actor. Like, give me only the best parts. I won't do commercials or anything like that. I'm an actor. And I used to love like really great character actors. And Gary Oldman to me was somebody who I would look at and be like, man, what a chameleon. What, like in roles where you'd just be like, wait, that's Gary Oldman. Wait a minute. So that to me, as an actor, I looked at him and was like, wow, if I could only be that talented. So if I saw him, I would fangirl over him.
David Hasselhoff? That's pretty much it? No?
Last question. Make it really quick, and then we're done.
All right. So, any fun stories that you may have, like quick production lines or production moments that you had with like the cast or with each other, or just.
Well, Dolph Lundgren is here, and when I was young, I was maybe like 22, and I did a movie with Dolph Lundgren that he wrote, directed, and starred in, and he was the hero, and I was like this kind of a town druggie. But I was giving him all the secrets, so what was really happening.
It's a stretch.
Yeah, and Dolph is like, you guys know Dolph, he's this big, looming, like, guy, and there gets to this part in the movie where something's crazy is going on, and I have to be very emotional, and he comes up to me and he's like, you okay? Yeah? You good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, yeah, thanks, Dolph. He goes, cry! And he shook me violently, and I was like, he's like, action! And I'll never forget that. So he's sweet. So if you see him, tell him the story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are we ending on that?
We're gonna end. You can just say one thing.
Oh, okay. Just a general. I was on an episode of Red Dwarf. And I had all these like really crazy science lines, and I had been practicing them, and I was really nervous. And then I got really bad food poisoning the night before the shoot, and so what ended up happening was that I just concentrated on non-projectile vomiting on the 4 like huge Red Dwarf stars, and it actually saved my life that day.
You weren't nervous, you were just like, don't vomit.
Like, don't projectile
Don't you vomit on him.
Projectile vomit.
Well, let's give it up for Jonny Cruz.